So just give me a shout, Tom.
Yeah, will do.
Thanks, man. Okay, you just tell me who you are and what you do.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. I'm Leon Hill. I'm a California lawyer, but I'm based in Hong Kong, and I represent a variety of businesses and enterprises all over the world, including not just a few that are involved in emerging technology
Okay.
and new opportunities.
Yeah. So technology is that an emerging market for you to get involved in?
Well, it's amazing to see what's happening in Hong Kong as it leads, I think, certain trends for the rest of the world. And technology, emerging technology is always good for business. And so, yes.
And what is your understanding of blockchain technology, for example? What's your view?
Well, I'll tell you, the first blockchain client I had was in 2013, and I actually helped this brilliant entrepreneurial British fellow obtain a use patent for elements of his application, which provide very affirmative cross-checking for supply chain distribution issues. The challenge was to correct problems like contaminated infant formula or counterfeit top shelf liquor on in bars in mainland China. That's really quite a common problem. And by combining the indelible tracks that comprise blockchain with global positioning software elements of smartphones, he was able to make tremendous headway in developing cost-effective ways of addressing that problem. That's one example of it. But the point I want to make is that back then we weren't calling it blockchain. We didn't know what we were dealing with, right? We understood the opportunities that the utilization of certain algorithms provided, and we were applying those. And so I'm not a technician, I'm not a coder, I don't even balance, my checkbook very, very artfully. But you don't have to be a mathematician to recognize that what this offers is increased transparency and accountability. And in that respect, also with the decentralization of the information and the cross-checking, it affords a democratization of processes which were previously dominated by a centralized gentry. Right?
So you touched on a few brilliant points there. One of them I want to delve deeper on, the democracy of the internet.
Right.
The internet, the perception was certainly that the internet was free. It was an open highway. It was a tool for democratization of information. All people must have information for perfect democracy. Now it seems that most people have too much information and therefore are demotivated and desensitized to good information. So it's had an adverse effect. How does blockchain counterbalance those negative aspects of it?
Well, in the immutable nature of it, and meaning that any changes are recorded and noted, that's handy, that's useful. But it's also just a tool. I think it would be overly naive and optimistic to expect that it's going to resolve the problems with things like disinformation, misinformation, disinformation, fraud. All of that can be immutable too, right? But that said, the problem with people being misquoted, for example, is resolvable with the nature of blockchain technology. And I believe that there's a tremendous surge. I think that it's trending now for people to demand greater accuracy in the information that they not only deliver but subscribe to.
So it does provide some sort of check, but it's really just empowering the next iteration of life, the next attempt at balancing the rush of technology versus life balance, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, you've seen, no doubt, the documentary about I forget what it's called, I believe, Bitcoin, The End of Money. And they talk about disruptive new technology, and they use as an illustration the Gutenberg press. And they mention how, governments and other established institutions were very much aligned against publishing because the information became popularly available, and that upsets establishments. And so this is another way, I believe, this offers another way to constructively harness the power, the overwhelming power of the internet, including elements of credibility that weren't so available before.
And we're here in sunny Scotland.
Yes.
How significant is it that we're in a beautiful setting with a bunch of world-class experts, including yourself, coming together in this space? What does that mean for us?
Well, thank you for including me in the group, but I wouldn't suggest for a moment that I'm a blockchain expert. I think, and I am going to respond directly to your question in a bit of a roundabout way. The juxtaposition of our location in this historic building and in this old country, and it is an old country. I mean, it feels that way outside. Driving along cobblestone streets and passing the farm tractors and digital currency. How does that have a place here? But of course, it does, and we are here celebrating both our sense of where technology has brought us today, in a very current way, anticipating the future and hoping to positively influence the future, but also celebrating very, very old values and issues that remain relevant today. And I can offer you an example. Under U.S. law, the test for determining whether or not an ICO is to be construed as a security or not for purposes of regulating it is based upon a very old case standard developed long before computers existed, before electronic computers existed. And so it's the principles, the values, the concerns, and the guidelines. All of these things are traditional and old and ought to be acknowledged. And I think that this setting acknowledges that.
And there's talk of potentially a clinic and research lab for BioLife right here. There's something beautiful about that, isn't it?
I think it's great. I mean, I'm pretty much an urban dweller, and I live in Hong Kong, which is one of the most densely populated and 24-hour-a-day places on the planet. I don't know if you've been. very, very bustling, noisy, busy. And I tend to get edgy if it's too quiet outside. However, I'll say that here I've enjoyed the peacefulness of the place.
Excuse me. And just to finish, what is your involvement or connection or even view on BioLife itself?
Well, as with media production, an in-house counsel or a legal consultant, I'm functioning in the capacity of, I think my title is senior consultant. I work very hard to keep my clients out of trouble. You know, I'm a lawyer. Trouble is my business, right? As the old Raymond Chandler story title goes. But I don't celebrate that part of the work that I do. I actually try and help solve problems. It's always better to stay out of trouble than it is to get out of trouble. And so I assist not just with legal and compliance concerns, but also I work very hard to provide creative problem solving and troubleshooting and a different perspective. So you can bring in a technical viewpoint, a medical sciences viewpoint, a business viewpoint, but I believe that I offer something additional, and it's a good synergy.
Okay, and what stands out for you? I mean, obviously, we've all sort of, you said you've a few years' experience working with clients in blockchain and so on. What stands out about BioLife? What's going to make it work? There are component parts that I can see: the team, the partners, the vision. For you, what are the key factors that will make BioLife significant in 5 years' time and 10 years' time as one of the catalyst for health care change globally?
Well, they appear to me to be real pioneers in patient empowerment and the ability to provide patients, and we can call patients consumers, with greater autonomy, a heightened level of privacy, and at the same time, a heightened level of access. I mean, I'm just talking about medical records, for example, prescriptions, even the ability to interact using these digital modalities, mediums of communication, with an end user without necessarily having to know their telephone number or their name. I mean, it's an activation of the potential of secure, accurate, verifiable communications. And I think that seeing this potential for increasing quality control and integrity and enabling a greater ease of access is going to be very, very beneficial and very, very popular, and will shift the whole standard of what consumers, patients expect to receive.
And it's all started right here.
Well, certainly there's a new wave that this group is riding, and that's exciting.
And just to finish, obviously we're going to have a set of announcements later on, and there's some very powerful Chinese partners involved. That all augurs well for a successful launch phase, right?
We certainly hope so, yes.
Thank you very much.
Was that all right?
Super, yeah. Tell me who you are and what you do.
Okay, my name is Leonidas Katsaitis, and basically I own this property. I'm into many activities as far as business goes, import export, but also mainly development of hotels and commercial and residential development, real estate basically.
And what made you buy this place?
Yeah, about 8 years ago, my son was studying in St Andrews in Scotland, and I kept visiting quite often. And I did a small development in St Andrews, where I met Douglas, my partner now, who spoke to me about this place that was for sale, and I came to visit it. And basically, I was seduced by the by the location, the charm, the history, and it was in a bad state, and decided to invest in it, given that there was an opportunity to fix the property with a contract with the Historic Scotland. There's such a thing that they call Section 75. And with that, if you vouch to give a part of your profits into reconstructing the property, because it was really in bad shape, then they give you the opportunity to create residential housing and parcels in the neighboring area. So we went ahead with that program, and that's basically how it started 8 or 9 years ago. Yeah.
And it's not yet complete, isn't it?
No, not yet completed.
But it's in a good shape.
Yeah, because we went ahead and started investing before. It took us many years to get those permits, as you imagine, because you're not dealing only with history. In Historic Scotland, you're dealing with environmental issues, electricity, energy, sewers, protection of the squirrels, and all kinds of things. And you also have to create development that is adjacent to the property or on land we own, but not impeding or interfering with the value of the property. So we shouldn't be able to see houses in the front lawn here or anywhere. So all the housing we are about to start building has to be well hidden and blend in style and in quality. So it took a while.
And we've got this fantastic event here. How did that come about?
Yeah, that is just. I was looking for a while for an investing partner, because I've come in and invested most of my private funds to keep this place going and fix it. And we came to a stage where we need help, because we have big plans and big vision and want to do something in a big way that includes a spa, uplift of the property to be able to be a standard of a 5-star hotel, the spa unit, a clinic, a commercial center, local grocery for local. In general, there's a lot of things with it, and we're looking for an investing partner, and just got interest from these Chinese families that I met, and they, in parallel, they are running their business, which is BioLife, and they decided to actually host their event here. So one thing is not exactly the same with the other, but they will invest into the clinic, but they are investing, developing the clinic and all those things. But on the other hand, they are running this blockchain and BioLife, which I couldn't understand very well before. Now I know a little bit more about it.
Well, I was going to say, you must be an expert by this stage in BioLife and how it's going to change the world, right?
No, I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say. I'm like this other speaker said, with the old paradigm, I find it hard to grasp the evolution of technology and computers and everything else. I'm more hands-on development, property, real things, tangible things. But I can understand it better and it makes sense.
And also, I mean, having such expertise not only here today, but also as a centre here. It's a beautiful balance, isn't it? Between nature and science, future and past.
To me, I always believe that in the end of the day, if we were thinking of doing a clinic here a long time before, and we had offers to people who wanted to buy the whole thing, and I didn't want to. I want to keep a foot in it, because I become to love this place. I come often too. But I think Scotland has a unique quality that still people don't know about. It's not a very populated, not very crowded. It's very quiet. It's very wild, and okay, Switzerland has always attracted the interest of buyers, investors for quality, Swiss quality, the Alps, the clean air, and it's true in some ways. And I lived in Switzerland, and I still have interest there. But when I discovered Scotland, I realized that Scotland is even more pure, if you will, and health and medical go together, and a 5-star facility that can provide relaxation, healthcare, but spa or activities, any activities, you can do anything here. You know, horseback riding, cycling, running, swimming, you can do anything you want, hiking. And I thought this location, the clean air, the good food, the products that you find here are just perfect. And I think my vision of the place works well with the idea of BioLife, who want to do a high quality clinic and bring people here and let them improve their health and their mind at the same time. Yeah.
So from a lovely, slightly remote place in the north of the UK to a global powerhouse in the future of healthcare, that's pretty cool. Right?
Yeah, I think it's new, and why should all the clinics or specialized places be in some city? I think, and it's not that far. I mean, now that I've been coming here over the years, I mean, you have 2 airports close by. Okay, if you want a big airport, it's Edinburgh, but Aberdeen is not bad itself. And Aberdeen, they are redoing the roads and the circular, so it will become a 35-minute drive. And Edinburgh, there's a direct train. There is a 2-hour drive with a new bridge. It's even shorter now. It took me 1.5 hours last time I came by car, and I wasn't even driving fast. So I think the location is good. You don't want it to be really too far, but you don't want it to be also too close to the world, to the rattle and the bustle and the noise. And here it's kind of a happy medium.
And just to finish, there's an opportunity to really make a difference in the world with this project.
Mm-hmm.
It's got
Yeah.
qualities that some other ideas around blockchain and ICO don't really have the substance or the roots, and maybe that's why it balances with this very traditional, old, rooted, beautiful place.
Yeah, maybe people need that security also, because some new technology, to a lot of us, older generation like me, it sounds like a lot of hot air, what is. It's not going to change anything, but to be able to associate that with a real place, with real quality, it shows that it's not just a dream, it's not just air, it's real. And they do have, BioLife has a lot of partners already. I think they're going to multiply. And I think BioLife wanted, and they needed, if you will, a legitimacy, a business card, a place. And I think it works well for us too. For me, it works well too, because I was looking for a serious partner. I've had some offers that were really, I feel confident. And while you listen to all the different talks, it opens up wide. I hope, the latest speaker was down there, you probably missed it. I hope the regulators, because such new technology and such an international thing of bringing resources together, I hope the regulators, the legal aspects will be well covered, so they don't become impediments for these technologies to actually open up its wings, because sometimes that's a difficulty. The legislators and regulators don't know, they don't understand it, so they just can say they block it,
That's it.
That's it? Oh, great.
Brilliant, well done. You said
That-
everything I wanted to say. Thank you for having us.